Growing up, I hated idyllic mediocrity art. It represented a bullshit, sinister world for you to look the other way. Picturesque works that just filled gaps on walls. A promise of a cozy home despite the dysfunction rampant in the house I grew up in. YouTube gurus promise success in mediocrity, branding before skill, an audience and content before technical mastery. Welcome to the world of art maxing. I do think there's an issue on social media where there are potholes within the information you're given of people who claim to be experts or arbiters and even influential on these particular presence of art advice and inspiration. Now, I was actually going to make a video on art and mediocrity, but then as I was doing research for this video, it hit me that art maxing and enshitification kind of are a one-way street where they go kind of hand in hand when it comes to art YouTuber content. And let me explain. Art maxing is what happens when creativity stops being called a process, an artistic process, and becomes a lifestyle optimized for strategy. They lure you in. Houseplants, making coffee. This aspirational lifestyle of I'm inviting you into my space.
Boring.
When in actuality, you're alone. It is an artistic struggle, and it is a continual uphill battle to evolve the work that you create and reflect the times that you do. Unlike art maxing, it is simply a performance to allude to the fact that you are an artist. I'm just going to say that flat out.
You know what I know? Art.
Oh, well, why don't you shut your hoe ass up?
Hello everybody, I'm Henry Haight. Welcome to my channel, Henry Haight Fine Art. If you're new here, I'm a multidisciplinary artist where we talk about all things art, creation of art, tips, tricks, chains and whips, practices, you name it. Welcome. And my Mad Rhyme Rumble. Anywho, today's video is going to be on the topic of art maxing. Art maxing, like look maxing, is the optimization of the appearance of being an artist without building skill or actually becoming one.
Taking notes, taking notes, taking notes.
Now, Endshitification is the algorithm slowly flattening art into safe, repetitive, monetized content. And somewhere in between, artists stopped making dangerous work and started building a personal brand. The brand becomes more important than the actual artwork. The brand is a calling card. The audience is the calling card. Therefore, it isn't the actual artwork. It is the backseat. It is the backdrop. And that is the thing that most people, that can be quite dangerous to people who want to pursue an art career. Because here's the truth. There is no clear-cut path. I don't care what anyone fucking says about an art career and these 6 guidelines and these rules and these, because one, it is work, luck, and the commitment and dedication to what you are actually doing. I wish it was as easy as a lot of these fucking videos say, but the truth be told, success with an art career is far more organic and different for everyone. Okay, I'm going to say that again. It is always going to be different for anyone, especially within the work that they create, because what works for me is not going to work for someone. And what works for Kelsey is that she has an algorithm and an audience that she can actually venture out to companies or brands that aren't really art related, but they just want to capitalize on her web traffic, affiliate marketing, and people that she can mentorship. But at the same time, she's creating these Cupid dolls of these cookie cutter. This system works, and you move further away in enshitification of making content rather than art. And the unfortunate thing is, I think she is a victim of circumstances of both art maxing and enshitification, because since the Ponzi Palooza scheme, she has shifted to tax videos, what kind of content creator do you want to be? That is an art. And yet, when she talks about YouTube being art, it is apparent in her presentation. I'm going to say it's just pretty bare bones. And much like the paintings, they kind of stop at a certain level. They don't progress. They don't evolve. And that is the thing that she cheats herself with, as well as Walter. I think they cheat themselves. And I know that some people go, well, they've helped me do this and that. Yes, they can help you, but the whole thing is that eventually you're gonna hit a wall creatively, and you're gonna want to virtually find someone who masters specifics and evolves and sparks you to understand art. It is paramount that the individual make good on delivery of their own presentation. Presentation matters. If you have potholes all over your website, your social media, and you're monetizing as an experienced art influencer or guru on the matters of art market and art business, that's a bit questionable. Art maxing, like look maxing, is the optimization of the appearance of being an artist without building skill or actually becoming one. I know this might be a little controversial. So in this video, I'm going to offer your artistic brain to decide the difference between content creators and how to read red flags from these content creators with no market track records, as opposed to working artists who can master skill and your vocal vocabulary and your artistic repertoire. Content creators can lead you astray with limited skill, make bad habits, monetize your attention with no skill, technical value, but plenty of engagement with no real live experience as a working artist outside the digital realm. It's up to you to decide how you want to make an art career for yourself. Art should be rebellion. This is prevalent in today's age of the attention economy. Take note. Endshitification is the algorithm slowly flattening art into a safe, repetitive, monetized content. And somewhere in between, artists stop making dangerous work and start building personal brands. Pastel colors, this aspirational lifestyle, getting coffee. Absolute fucking bullshit. That's not an artist's process. That's just like, hey, come with me. Yeah. It's, $6,000 to buy my equipment, and I will guilt you into buying this, ladling you, breadcrumbing you to have my lifestyle. And don't you want to be a freak like me? Hell the fuck no. It's branding before brush control, content before competence, confidence before composition. Right now, this thing is everywhere. And two people who are notorious for this are, there's a few people within the art community, Kelsey and Shadow Artiste right now that I'm only focusing on. Now, it's not to be, most people probably think that, but you have someone saying, I'll give you a 4-year art degree in this video.
Girl, what?
You've got others saying, here's how I made 6 figures and just follow these habits in 6 months.
Bitches, please.
What? And listen, it sounds good, it sounds promising, it sounds enticing, but that's the problem. Everybody wants to save your time. These people want to save your time. Everybody. And I'll get you there faster. I crack the code. Do this to skip the struggle. Let me tell you something. There's no version where your artwork doesn't look like an absolute garbage. Everyone has to start somewhere. Everyone has a starting point in learning. Yes, the beginning artwork is always going to suck. My drawings sucked when I was a teenager, but I kept at it. Now, nobody's sitting there going, hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to doubt yourself for about 3 straight years, because art and mastering skill takes time. Now, recently I've been notified that while preparing for summer shows, I have been shortlisted for the Art of Elysium's People's Artist Award, and it is an honor because not only do you get $25,000 to help your art studio and growth, but you get a feature in art form as well as an exhibition at the Art of Elysium. Now, Art of Elysium is a charity that helps put art in hospitals to take away the dreariness of these places. And hospitals have actually been a great way to feature artists such as, Alan Jones and other artists such as Shepard Fairey to virtually lighten the mood in these places that can be filled with sickness, death, and any other kind of turmoil that can raise anxieties. So I'm going to be honest. When I got the news, I wanted to win. I would fucking blow a donkey. I would fuck a donkey for that shit. 25 grand would fucking be a lifeline to my studio and help with my storage in London while I'm stuck here in LA. And yeah, because it means a lot to any artist to have this prestige. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to give away 2 prizes for people who vote for me. I will leave a link in the comments or in the description of how to vote for me. Please vote for me. But the winner of You Showing Proof goes into a raffle where I will pick 2 winners. One will get a print and someone will get a mystery tube. So yes, so the mystery tube will be either a secondary print that's been returned from a gallery. I might show a drawing in there or an original piece of canvas that I just never finished the painting. You don't know what's in the mystery because I like to have mystique about myself. And the other person will win a print. And I'm not going to name the size, but I'm going to make it worth your while. So if you guys can, vote for me in the Art Elysium and check out the link below. Thank you. You don't need art school, you don't need talent, and you don't need expensive materials. You don't even need to be good. Apparently all you need is a logo, content schedule, and a personality. That's not me. I'm out. Bye. I don't have an issue with anyone making a video about how they create and showing the mistakes. But when you try to commodify your weaknesses and leverage that as an anchoring of expertise, it really can lead and damage someone's own instinctual want and passion to become an artist. Now, before people start foaming at the mouth thinking that I'm going to punch down at Kelsey Rodriguez and Shadow Artiste, they represent a bigger hydra of a monster. Now, I'm not claiming, or I don't think that Kelsey Rodriguez is evil or that she's running a Ponzi scheme or a multi-level marketing thing. I do think that, one, her business practice is in funneling her audience to specific channels rather than building up the work that she creates. And since Ponzipalooza, her video content has shifted to more the business side of things, which I don't always agree with because, again, I've said that a lot of the stuff that she says is either too simplistic or there's a lot of potholes that leave out a lot of stuff. And again, like I said, not every artist is, yes, everyone has to file taxes and do those things, but each lane has a different route. But these 2 creators represent a deeper conversation of what is actually prevalent in today's social media. And that is the rise of the creative entrepreneur, where their entrepreneurial practice is art adjacent rather than in the art sector or in the art market. That doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, but a lot of people can get confused. I know this might be a little controversial. It's branding before brush control. Content before competence. Confidence before composition. So, to the algorithm, this truth, that video doesn't sell. It won't get me likes. It won't get me comments. In fact, it'll probably get me some hate.
What do you want? Why are you getting my precious Kelsey Rodriguez and Shadow Artiste? They're my friends.
Okay. Sure. So what? Instead, you get be successful in 90 days. 90 days? It takes me 90 days to like a painting of mine. Seriously. Mastering art is not a hack. It's not a funnel. It's not a Notion template. It's not a system. It's not a fucking 3 shortlisted habits. It takes time, diligence, discipline, effort on your part. It's slow and painful and rigorous. Alignment of your eye, your brain, and your hand to learn control, reading, composition, value, directional light, and build your taste and repertoire in what you're trying to do. You don't do that in 6 months. You don't master something. Sure, just because you know how to make a hamburger doesn't make you a chef. I'm just going to say it, put it that way. And a lot of times I like to speak in visuals to drive the thing home. Here's where Kelsey Rodriguez and Shadow Artiste, if your hand cannot execute your taste, you don't have a style. You have a limitation. You haven't mastered skill. Technique takes time. Essentially, the art community is a swimming pool of mediocrity. And I don't say this in a mean way, but there's a lot of limited work and people selling classes, courses, and stuff when I don't really know who they are as artists. Their art doesn't reflect who they are as artists, but yet they're selling courses. They don't sell artwork, but they sell Notion templates, habit sheets, and God knows what else. We've replaced mastery with affirmation. You're not good, don't worry, but you're valid. You've got likes, comments, subscribers. Who cares? You've got a following. The algorithm blesses you. Style is not something you pick. If you don't sit there like, I'll take a little Basquiat, a little street, and maybe some drips, that's not style. It's collage thinking. Style is what leaks out of you after years of repetition, failure, reading your work, and correction. Art rigor, repetitive editing, streamlining that narrative to where you feel it in your gut and you've mastered control of your brush and your values, composition, color theory, all these things come into sync and format and stop someone in their tracks to make them go, whoa. Now, that being said, there are plenty of people who are masters at their techniques and skilled that you can watch online for free, but it won't cost you anything. They don't have to, not everyone has to like your work, but if you don't love what you do, put it this way, if you don't want to buy your own art, the truth, branding is a magnifier. That's all it is. That's all it is. But your art should be your branding. That should be your calling card first, paramount. If your work is strong, branding amplifies it. If your work is weak, branding exposes it. That's just the truth. This is art business, and that is within the art market. And also, your story aligned with your artwork has to be in parallel and virtually juxtapose and work in sync with the story of how to sell your art, because you and your art are an integral part of one piece, the work. They're not teaching you how to make art.
So I took some art classes in college, and to be honest, I didn't learn very much. They weren't really my thing. And no offense to my professors, they were lovely people doing the best they could in the flawed system they were operating in, but I can't say that those classes gave me the fundamental art skills that I needed to solve the creative problems that I'm encountering in my creative practice.
Because here's the truth. If you're willing to put in the work yourself, you can get a comparable education for a fraction of the price compared to a traditional 4-year art university degree. And if that's something that interests you, here are the platforms that I genuinely would recommend you to check out to get started.
They're teaching you how to market and brand yourself. They're teaching you how to market unfinished work. Be likable. Make content. Now, content versus art. Because this is where people get trapped. Is advice about art? You're not building art. You're building content.
As soon as I get a piece done that looks really good and sellable, start selling online. I used to say that you should get a portfolio together. I changed my mind. I completely changed my mind because nobody asked for a portfolio. It doesn't even matter.
Bad little white girl.
Now, it's easy for someone to say,
Well, Henry, you're making content. Blah, 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 blah.
well, I like this puppet more than this one.
Blah, 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 blah.
Let me put it this way. I grew up before social media, and in the 80s, we had MTV. And in the 70s, I grew up on a healthy diet of cartoons. I did not like comic books because I thought they were for dorks. There, I said it. I've came to like artists like Jack Kirby and stuff and respect the stuff, but my introduction to art was through Movieland Wax Museum and this tacky waxwork museum and seeing reproductions of masterpieces that were in Europe. And Leda and the Swan, I thought was captivating. It took my breath away as a 6-year-old boy because then and there I knew it was a dirty picture. And seeing David, the statue of David, I didn't know I was gay yet, but these two images, I was like, whoa. Then album covers were another introduction to my art. My parents were from, I wouldn't say hippies. My dad was a biker in the 60s and early 70s, and he had the Janis Joplin Big Brother Cheap Thrills album that was done by Robert Crumb, and I was obsessed with this album cover because I saw cartoons.
What a cartoon!
A cartoon. Animation.
What a cartoon!
To to a 5-year-old boy, I didn't know the context of the art. I was just transfixed by all the images of this. And then Elton John's Captain Fantastic and the Dirt Brown Cowboy, David Bowie's Diamond Dogs. These album covers were my gateway to Andy Warhol, punk rock, and punk rock virtually, Black Flag, Sonic Youth, they used artists that are now considered blue chip artists, established artists, on their album covers. And now you have content creators saying, hey, I'm an artist, and buy my course, go to my discourse, buy my Notion template, these 3 habits. You will make 6 figures in a year, but I want to make 300K in a year selling you these courses.
Oh, this bitch done lost the man.
The math ain't actually flowing. Where's the art? Actually, and there are 2 paintings behind Kelsey Rodriguez collecting dust. She doesn't promote her art. Shadow Artiste, still no art on his walls. Now, this isn't a dig, but the whole thing is that with an artist, you actually observe. And I hang art that I love. The piece, the Teresa behind me, is the first major piece I sold and was shipped to Italy with my first exhibition in London in a gallery. I was like, okay, I'm keeping that piece and stuff like that. But I immerse myself in it. It is my passion. I've dedicated my life, my business. I make my money through my imagination, these 2 hands, and my creativity. I'm not sponsored. I don't have any affiliated marketing. And it's unfortunate that someone like Kelsey, because she's still young, she was raised with, the internet and the rise of social media in her formative years, that this was a tool for her. And I think a lot of not only her, but other content creators, where it is a necessity. And I think this is where the real disease of enshitification becomes obvious, is that enshitification of art on YouTube, everything online eventually becomes optimized for monetization. Our channels start genuine, but they slowly become productivity channels, self-help channels, lifestyle channels, affiliate funnels, and this is something that art isn't. The algorithm doesn't reward mastery, it rewards familiarity and compliance. And here's a playbook. I love art. Here's my journey. Here's how to grow. Here's how I made money. Buy my course. Buy my template. Buy the crap I use that you can't afford or that you aspire. Because then what happens is that the individual watching this stuff uses you as the rule book or the yardstick of success. And it's hard enough to create something because all artists have doubt of trying to read the work or master what they're trying to fucking do at that moment. And now social media, younger kids compare this as a yardstick to success or their lives to that person's. And that's a really unfair thing to do to someone under 30. And, now countries can see the damage that it's doing to children. So imagine a teenager or someone in their 20s who's still piss and vinegar, and it's unfortunate. And I no disrespect to Kelsey, but I think she's a victim of this bigger issue that the algorithm wants her to do those things. And I'm sure she would love to do art retreats of her own and master and really make an impact with her art. I truly believe that. But I don't think she does it because it is easier for her to make funnels, affiliate marketing, and achieve that 6-figure. And then she says the loud part. She says the quiet part loud, and where she wants to double her earnings within a year to 300K. You've already won the fucking lottery. You have one ass. How many houses do you need? So, this is just food for thought. That When you start looking at algorithmic performative art content, I want you to ask yourself, what about this video is inspiring you? What is it about this artist or art content creator that you find fascinating? Would you buy their work? Would you stop and look at their work? Or most importantly, would you stop and ask yourself, how do they fucking do that? Because those are the type of artists that I'm like, I don't expect my art to be liked by everybody, and that's okay. I'm cool with that. But I think that most artists have to ask themselves that serious question, because everything is so availably ready. Everyone can make a t-shirt business. Everyone can make a sticker and card business. And you're on this treadmill, and lo and behold, before you know it, you do get tired, because sometimes it is a grind. And I've been fortunate enough to do tattooing and art, but with tattooing, I suffer physical setbacks because I've been doing it for 30 years. And, I worry that because of my tattooing, when I get older, in 15, 20 years, that it may affect my ability to hold a paintbrush. And again, life gets in the way of your plans. So you truly need to understand what you want to do with your work. Fight the algorithm. Fight the power. I am always on the whole stroll. So, yeah. But it's through art, or making art, or artwork, or, wearing tight shorts and being a little friendly to a collector and
You are unpaid prostitute. You are lower than dog.
something. These people don't make things at all. They make videos about making things or how to fast track your six-figure art career. Affirmation, nothing more. Do I find them inspiring? Not really. I've fallen down the rabbit hole, and there's been a running theme with both Kelsey and Shadow Artiste, Walter Viveros, where their playbook is both the same. Now, I think that with the real issue of Endshitification and the gradual drifting away from the creative process, artistic process, into making art, with people like Kelsey Rodriguez and Shadow Artiste, they skip something crucial. They skip experimentation, failure, silence, the painfully ugly, hard years of trying to master a skill and develop their own hand and gut instinct to read their work. All artists have to do that. And instead, it is, like I said, time compression, fast tracking, and fragmented information as expert advice. That's my honest opinion. Their output, I think Kelsey virtually started off wanting to make creative work, and over years she's pivoted since Ponzi-Palooza controversy into art business kind of content. And again, like I said, it is framed as advice for creatives, but it is creative adjacent, not within the art market, or she doesn't have any industry backing, real road-tested expertise and experience in that world. I think she's fortunate that she's won the lottery with the YouTube algorithm and the other brackets that allow her to commodify, and I don't want to say allow companies to exploit her audience for money in that sense, because she's fortunate in that sense. But when it boils out to the end of the day, she may be left with a library of stuff of like how these 3 lessons or these 3 life hacks will get you closer to a 6-figure income, as opposed to, here's my work, here's what my art sells for, here's what my art sells on a secondary market, or these are the companies that I've actually endorsed my artwork. Because eventually you want to leave an imprint of your art with what you're doing. Both Shadow Artiste and Kelsey Rodriguez sell time compression. 4-year art degree in 1 video, $150,000 in 5 habits. You ever notice how nobody says, hey guys, I'm going to waste 8 years of my life and my work is going to suck, and you'll cry in the studio home alone thinking, am I actually really good? No. It's what I like to think of toxic rose positivity. I know I'm a bitter bitch. I'm, jaded and stuff as a 57-year-old man, but I've been at this hustle for 35 plus years, and I think I've earned my battle scars. I've had brand endorsements, collaborations. I've traveled the world, given speeches. I've recognized through Artsy and other Artspur secondary markets, but it's taken me nearly 14 years to just get onto that portion of my art career. Life is going to get in the way of your plans when making your art, and your life should reflect your art. As a kid, like I said, my introduction to art was through record labels, MTV, album covers, and popular culture. Videos back then were provocative. We had Boy George, you had Duran Duran, you had Pat Benatar, you had Def Leppard, you had, Sonic Youth, and you had the punk movement that told you that being weird and fuck, the establishment was just everything. And I love the fact that some of my albums scared my mother. She's like, I don't like when you listen to that music. And then right now, my mom thinks my art is scary. Do you think it's weird? My art?
Scary.
Would you have it in your house?
No.
Why not?
It's spooky.
She thinks I'm scary. Do you think I'm spooky?
Yes, that I agree.
But I always try to make that my work reflects my life, the people around me, what I'm going through at that moment, and the current work right now, because of being with my parents and having to look after someone with dementia and going blind. It takes up a lot of time because I feel like I'm becoming the parent and they're becoming the children. And that's hard. And when I'm left alone, I'm either making these videos or trying to work on submitting my work for art grants, public art, and shows. You still have to go through a jury selection to show people your work that if you're good enough. And presentation matters. I'm going to say this again. Presentation matters. If you present your art to look cheap, it's going to be cheap. I don't care what they say about just raise your prices.
The reason your business feels like a chore right now is because you aren't charging enough for your work, plain and simple. Undercharging can feel good in the moment. What you're actually doing is sabotaging your own success, and you are creating terrible incentives to creating a good experience for those same customers.
Kayla and stuff, and just, this luxury mindset. Kelsey Rodriguez says just raise your prices. You are shooting yourself in the foot and chopping yours off to spite your face, because art is sold on what someone is willing to pay. Now, if you sell, say, a piece for $12,000, there's a good chance thinking that person, yes, may think he's bought a masterpiece and that he's found this, unfound artist that he's going to be the next Damien Hirst or Jeff Koons. However, say in 6-10 years he wants to redecorate and he figures, okay, I'm going to flip this. He sends it to his local auction house where they do furniture and stuff like that. The man's paid $12,000. He's thinking, oh, maybe I should get $15,000, $16,000, $18,000, buy a blue chip artist market rate value where there's an incline. If you don't have industry backing and a market track record, you'll be lucky that $12,000 painting can recoup a $500 price tag. I'm just saying, because one, you need, the old system is the endorsement of the art market, galleries, art curators, secondary markets. When you don't have that and you have YouTube or Instagram, there are artists who've been discovered on Instagram, like Anna Wyatt. I wouldn't mind blowing someone to rep me for 2 years and, give them a little something on the side so my paintings could go for $2 million. But you got a leg up, and it can happen. But the irony is, these people show limited skill or virtually no presentation online other than just their content and affirmations of how to become an artist. And as an artist, when I observe their content, it is a rabbit hole that I just feel is unjust because it can lead someone astray and have them second guess because of like, well, he said I did this and she said I could do this and it hasn't happened for me. And I gave them $2,000 for their course, or that Jared Henry where they're just like, you know, 2,500, 3,000. It's like, if you want to make money in a gold rush, sell bullshit and shovels.
And you know what happened? I didn't do shit. I didn't do not even one piece of art in 2 months. And I don't know what happened. I don't even know what happened. I think maybe I got comfortable, right?
Ew, Dorcas interruptus.
Want to sell art? You're going to have to get good. You're going to have to get somewhat, even if your art is bad, you have to have something about you to capture that work, to make it go, okay, wow, I get it. And you get the support. Putting your artwork out there and putting yourself out there with your art is crucial. When you have someone who doesn't do that on Instagram, and you have someone who doesn't have a shop online for their web store on their personal website. Red flag 1. So what is my advice to you as an aspiring artist? Make strange work. Make ugly work. Fail publicly. Show everything. Show your early drawings. And because essentially you're building an archive of everything. Not everything is going to be a success. You know, a lot of artists, you keep at it, they do the process, and only maybe 5 or 3 pieces of their work are considered masterpieces historically. But they're building a body work and a visual language. They stop chasing cozy. They continually challenge themselves. You need to continually challenge yourself. Stop worshiping optimization. Their success is not your success. Their road to measure that success will always be different. Your path is different. Your success could be far greater or far richer, because you could be in those moments and go, fuck this, okay. And you investigate those journeys, those paths, those roads. Stop confusing visibility with artistic depth. Okay? I'm going to say it again. Stop confusing visibility with artistic depth. It is okay to be fearful, and it is okay to put yourself and whatever out there. Andy Warhol said the best business in art is making money. And, you know, I put it on the wall and let people decide if it's good or not. It's taken me a while to do that. And virtually go outside, unplug, be in the moment, look at art, walk around your neighborhood, take photos of weird and wonderful things. I do all the time. And sometimes I'm just like, why do I take these fucking pictures? Because I find them weird and inspiring. And I'm just always on the hunt for weird and wonderful things. That's just me. Go to museums, go to auction houses, look at thrift store art, go to a record store, go to the local library. If you can't afford a printer, go to your public library, take a memory stick, and scan your work, 600 DPI, and you can do it for free. A little tip. So, I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to leave it to this. But Endshitification shouldn't be the brace that holds you back. It should be the reasoning why you rebel against art content. You should make your own rebellion to what you want to do with your work. And that is the biggest challenge you have ahead of you. So with that, I thank you for watching. I hope this has made you wonder what the hell you're going to create next. As I got some work I have to whip out, and yeah, so hit that like and notification button. I thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video, and I will speak to you in the next video. There's more to come. Thanks again for watching. You guys rule. Peace out. Be good to yourselves, and keep creating work just for yourself. Believe in yourself. Okay? All right. Bye.
Oh, job of the hut looking white bitch.